we could have some downward pressure. But I wanted to at least give some hope in the picture today. Because if it does play out, it doesn't even have to play out from this exact 2 and 4 day setup. But we have to look at it a little bit more long term. There's a lot of news that's been coming out. And I'm convinced now of something. I'm convinced that 99% of people who trade XRP, despite talking about all of the adoption, we have more news yesterday, a huge news that happened early AM that I shared on Facebook that all of you should be, I think, tuned into the Facebook side of it because I can do things more in real time, not just on the camera, because YouTube does not push anything around the way it needs to when you do a writing. And it can actually hurt your algorithm, which is weird. But we had some news last night or early AM about a pretty big deal when it comes to adoption, when it comes to, where's this at? Moscow. So Moscow adds XRP. It's pretty interesting. So they're trying to bypass Swift and the other things. So BRICS is moving. Russia is using Ripple's blueprint to bypass the old broken SWIFT system, institutional wall of money. This isn't just retail trading. This is MOEX launching futures and indexes. So they're trying to, the West is moving away from the dollar. And this was a very big move for Moscow to do this. They didn't take that lightly. And there's a lot of stuff in the EU and other parts in Japan where they're starting to push more towards this Ripple XRP mindset. And if you wonder why the triple X threat you long term, and yes, short term, the prices could be outrageously bad. And we'll go over all of the possible bear flags and things like that that could be setting up. But I want you guys to pay attention, and I didn't even post this yet. I forgot. This is something I'm working on. Shit, I'll give you inside information. Where's it at? You guys are in my audience. Good morning. 10:21 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, February 3rd. 2026. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So I do thank every single one of you for tuning in. What is this crap on my screen? For tuning in. We do have a big day today. There's going to be a lot of things that we're going to end up deciding. What's the best way of putting this? It's going to be a very big deal today, what's happening. Today's going to be a very big day when it comes to the charts. And I know it's like, oh, well, he's just pushing us, leading us on here. I'm not leading you on here. That's what we're dealing with. That is a possible bear flag. If that is a possible bear flag and this plays to the downside, that's why yesterday, the day before, we talked about that 163, 164 area. We need to get past there if nothing else. It needs to get past there if nothing else. And then the push up off of this bottom here actually validated our issue now, because now in real time we have to, well, maybe it's $1.65. Now, yeah, $1.64.5 I would be okay with. But that's what's going on here. So it's there's a little bit of a problem here. You know, we're dealing with a little bit of an issue. So, but I mean, it's not horrible. It's not a horrible thing. We've dealt with worse. But if we break down, I think what's going to happen here is if we pay attention to this properly with these tokens, and I'm not even just joking. I think if we pay attention with these setups, with the possibility of what's in front of, and I'm going to show you right now what I'm talking about. Because I broke it down in a way that I think will make it a lot easier for everybody who's watching me. It'll be in writing. And I really do think that this will help everybody go, you know what? I understand what he's talking about, and I can see it in front of me on paper. So... and it's why you can't just be like, oh, XRP, XLM, XDC. It's why you want to take advantage legitimately. It's legitimately why you want to take advantage of the moment we're going to be given here. And a lot of people, I don't think, are up for the moment. I really don't. I think they're XRP. It's got to be XRP or nothing. If I don't like XRP, I've got to have XLM or I've got to have. They're all three of them by design. They're working three different segments, and the best way I can say is XRP's banking, XLM's people, and XDC's trade. And the way I'm going to break it down so that everybody can see this, so that you're not confused, so that you actually know what's going on. I'm going to break this down in the best way I know how. And I've worked on it already. So all I literally have to do is hit this button and then you'll be able to see this. I think it's worth it. I think this will be absolutely worth it. But I want everybody's thoughts this morning too. Do you think this breaks down out of this bearish, what looks like a bear flag this morning? I would love to know. We have to get on the same page. I need to know where everybody's at. I'm very excited and, well, not excited about the price action so much, but I'm excited about the opportunity that if done right, this is legitimately going to be that flip that's going to just flip the entire thing. Like if you do this right, I do this right, and we pay attention to the proper levels, don't let emotions get to us, we're going to be able to employ a lot of liquidity at some very nice levels. All of these rejections are not helping. Every time I want to ride something, it gets rejected, and then it just leaves you back out in the cold. And it's like small trades if you want to trade or whatever, but your liquidity's got to stay in. You got to keep liquidity around because this could get ugly. These could get ugly. It is what it is. This could get ugly. I don't think we have to be mad about it. Like, why would we be mad if we get an unbelievable, phenomenal opportunity? What if we did get these unbelievable opportunities lower? Do you want to be sitting on the sidelines with no potential because you have no money available? Or do you want to be paying attention? Or if you're trying to insert yourself, what are you looking for in this market? Well, the best opportunity right here, if you're looking at XRP, and this is not a joke, this is not a drill. If we get over $1.64, that's a buy signal in the short term because you would be able to ride it up to $1.76 more than likely is where we would end up going. I'm just telling you, that would be a buy signal. We have not broken down, perfectly coming down. I was hoping it would come down maybe a little bit farther, but it was within a cent. 157.95, I was looking right around 156.77. If once we get above there, that's a buy signal for the short term. So don't let these markets fool you in the sense of it's make it or break it. You're not in a make it or break it zone in the sense of we can't go up before we go farther down. You have to make sure this bear flag plays out and that it is a bear flag because there is in the 2 and 4 day, you're showing a bullish crossover. So we'll see how that plays out. But I really do think that if we keep our heads on straight today and tomorrow and we watch this unfold, or in the moment, if you make a decision, there's reasons why it was inviting to make a trade a few days ago and kind of see what happens. It's still stuck in the rhythm. A lot of them are still stuck. So within the trade, you can't do anything in these points. So what you want to do if you're somebody who's doing a swing trade, and we're using XRP as an example, and I don't encourage you to swing trade XRP. I like it longer term if you can find it at the right levels. But it's an easy one to swing trade if you get it right. So you'd want to be as close to this uptrend just in case it comes down. But remember, if we get a third tap up here and get rejected and comes back down, it's a bear flag. So more than likely, it's going to break down if we can't break out. So it's incredibly important for this market to start breaking it up at some point here in the short term. Otherwise, if we break that down on the bear flag, which there's a lot of liquidity on Bitcoin that popped up at I think it's 86 roughly, which I think is interesting where it popped up, to be honest. Because it gives us just a little bit below where we had, or what is it, 80, not 86, 70, 68, sorry. I don't know why I said 86, 68,000. So it'd get you a little bit farther if you came down there. Now, the question is, would they leave this? And would they not come down here? Because some people took out longs, and their liquidation price is conveniently at about 68, which to me, the only reason it makes some sense here is I have at 67,270 as the projected drop down if we measured it from a wider base. This was the short drop that got us under 80, but the legitimate next step should have been 67,280 if this confirms a bearish consolidation. So it's definitely intrigued me this morning to the fact that, okay, well, if we don't get on our horsies here in a very serious way, we could in fact find ourselves in a tricky scenario here that I'm assuming most people wouldn't want to talk about, but I like to talk about. You know, I like to bring up this stuff like, hey, this is the uncomfortable conversation. Like, I know this group likes the uncomfortable. You'd rather be uncomfortable now, I think, because then you actually can make a concisive, you know, attempt to figure out this market. Let's see if I missed anybody. Well, I mean, I missed everybody, but I was trying to stay focused this morning and give you guys a lot of information to come out the gate. So to put it in better perspective, more than I could ever say, I have to start putting things in writing. And because this page is just blowing up, now it's almost a 13,000. I found a baseline of 200,000. It seems like it slowed down a little bit, but that viral video got 1 million views. But now it's been steady. So now it's steady. Lots of engagement, lots of views still, lots of people following. I wish it would show the following today because I don't know how many people. I just know it's got to be up 50 people or so. But anyhow, oh shit. Make sure you follow there. It's in the video description below of this very pinned live. Where the hell is the post? Oh, here it is. So this is what I call it. It's the triple X blueprint, solving a quadrillion-dollar problem. So you have the 3 blockchains, one mission, fixed global finance. So XRP, banking, bridges institutional liquidity, is bridging the gap for the biggest banks on earth. Just consider XRP the banking solution. XLM is the people solution. So enables inclusive payments, is making sure no one is left out of the financial loop. And XDC is for trade. Powers trade finance, is digitizing the massive trade finance sector. So it's basically turning it digital. So that's what does that say? Facebook jailbird. Yeah, basically can't get on Facebook. I'm in jail because I post about criminal. Yeah, you don't want to do that. No, I had to switch my Facebook page a couple months ago from my XRP Future Millionaire page because it was restricted since 2024. And once I did that and figured out a way to do this, it's nice. Let's see. JB, welcome in, and thanks for being a very trusted mod in here. A-Man, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. I had a comment. Oh, I know something for some reason. Moved from Facebook. Yeah, Ozempic's not cool. Well, they don't want you talking bad about it, but I know what happens with Ozempic. That's not good. People are losing weight, but it ends up tearing down your actual muscle tissues. It eats your muscles. So you end up like this after a while. Everybody does. Anybody on it will end up like this after a while. People in my own family are taking it, and that's how they ended up. Bearded Viking. Hope you're hanging in there. Is Bearded Viking in here this morning? I don't know. But we always just want to say a quick prayer for... we ask for guidance for Bearded Viking and Mighty Marcus as he continues to fight the good fight. We pray to our Lord and Savior, Yahweh, Yeshua. Ask for God's grace. Amen. Joseph Euler, thanks for the gifted sub. Hey, it came to my what I'm using right here because I'm using Julie's account. It just gave me the gifted sub, Julie. So Juju Fish, that's my significant other, back in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. She her debit card it went over, you know, like it expired, and she just never got. I don't think she ever redid it. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. She appreciates that. Thank you for all the amens. I appreciate that too. Oh, Bearded Viking is in here. Haven't been here lately because I've been shipped to Alaska for work. Holy smokes. Bearded Viking, I hope you're staying warm and safe. I hope everything's going good. We continue, even when you're not here, I try to say a similar prayer every single day for Mighty Marcus and you alike. So I'm blessed to see you in here this morning, honestly. Sola Jaffe, thanks for being in town during 3+ months with the XP Meteor, along with um, Totally Awesome. XDC does. Oh, I know it does way more. I was breaking it up into 3 categories. I could go on all day. You can go on that Facebook because it's XRP Future Millionaire plus XDC is that page for a reason. I do a lot on XDC, at least one thing a day, which it doesn't seem like a lot when I do 10 on XRP, but absolutely. I know it's much more than trade, but breaking it up into 3 segments, you at least have to say fair. XRP's for banking, XLM's for people, XDC's for trade. That's fair. The way I broke it up is probably the fairest way you can break up the 3 X's. Is fair or foul in the comments. You can say fair or foul. I want to hear. Yep, triple X has that's my all-time strategy. XRP, XLM, XDC, H-bar algo. I think it taps every little second. Now this morning though, do we think we can break out here? This is the question. Do we think that this little setup is actually a nice inverse pattern and we come up here like we talked about yesterday? I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. Because that's why I said, even though it looks like a bear flag, I did the title this morning different because we do have a 2 and 4 day possible reversal. But that's only going to show once you break down that particular barrier, right? So technically it's either we break out of $1.64 and break out, or we start pushing back down. Nobody wants to be fair or foul, so I guess I will not get a response in that regard. Been a while, I don't know what breaking out means anymore. Well, technically breaking out can be to the upside or the downside. The only thing that makes me slightly nervous is that we're still in this pattern. Until we get out of it, it would always make you nervous. And the fact that 3 hourly is pushing down a little bit in stochastic, but it did clear out room. That's what we talked yesterday. Like maybe it's going to do exactly, we're going to do a hump and then we'll be able to pull back up for a double top after kind of moving in. If it pulls down here, it would be a problem. So we have to start out strong in the morning. Hey, my fair or foul was just about, is it fair or foul to say that XRP's for banking, XLM's for the people, and XDC's for trade? I think that's fair. That's all. Yeah, government shutdown, absolutely. That's another thing that plays into this. That's why until it's out of the bear flag, it's bearish. I think so, MQ. I think so, because this bear flag, assuming it plays out, it's a bona fide bear flag. And like, we don't want to, we're not making this stuff. This just happens. It got created. So let's just say it breaks down here. Whoops. It could even speak a little bit lower, MQ, if this is the new, well, 141, yeah. That's fair. I was going to say right around that area, too. I didn't know it was going to hit it exactly in that spot. I mean, would you say that's confluency, MQ? The fact that the bear flag set it up and you've seen that and it actually hit $1. There's no faux pas here. This is not a fugazi. This ain't a fugazi when you come in here like most places. This is the honest to God factual bits and pieces. Jordan says that's fair. I love it. Local credit unions, I love it. Yeah, the way I used to describe it was XRPs for the banks, the big guy, the big corporations, the big institutions. XLM's for the little guy, maybe the small business, maybe the guy who didn't get a second chance, maybe the single mom who just can't get her money around and she's got to flee a third world country. Remember those commercials? That's how I vision XLM. XDC I do a little different. I envision them taking over the entire digital scale when it comes to the trading, not just trading, but when it comes, there's so much more. It's so hard to describe. But yeah. But they're for the, oh man, it's so different. TradeFi XDC, I love it. Yep. Love it. And then I have XOP, it's like a reserve. So for me, I feel like XPR is the better version. the tie to my XDC because my XDC is already global and my XPR is local credit unions. I make global. Hey, I love that too. If XPR was on my exchange, I would buy it. I've already been very clear about that. It's just I can't buy it. I think that's one that you could put in there. Obviously, it's got a lot of volatility like the rest, but it's absolutely a verified for the local credit unions, which is big. If it breaks down out of this, it'll come down to $1.41. Absolutely. If that bear flag plays out now, that doesn't mean it's the ultimate target. It just means when it hits it, just like here, it might not have been going up much higher, but right now it back tested. We had an initial wick down, came through. We came right back into this area. We formed a legitimate pattern. So now it's up to XRP to have to break it. And you want to see some volume to confirm the continuation. But you can break out of here with no volume if it wants. It's just going to get killed. Point of sale for XLM apps. The great. I love this crowd. I'm in the right crowd. Always thought of XRP as the name brand and XLM as the great value brand. Yes and no. They're both for different things. That's why XLM is a lot cheaper. Imagine trying to market the more expensive token to the people and the cheaper one to the corporations. The corporations might like it, but the businesses, I mean, the people are going to be like, well, wait a minute. The people think they're getting a good deal. What the people don't realize is if they just look a little lower to XDC, they're getting an unbelievable deal down the road. Like, I understand. Like, I'm all for, believe me, I'm all for XLM at 17.7 over XRP at 160 just by price point. But XL or XDC at 3.7, but they're all their own unique entity. I knew with XRP we had to own first in a big way because I knew the price was going to have the bigger run. I knew it early on. That's what I kept telling the audience. Like, you got to focus on XRP right now because that 3,500 is going to turn into 35,000, and then you can make a decision on how to do what you need to do. And that's exactly what it did. It legitimately, that prophecy where I said as long as you invest where we invest at 35 cents around there, your $3,500 will turn into 35,000. I used to say I guarantee it, which I shouldn't have because I'm not a financial advisor. But fortunately, the 3,400 turned into 37,000, whatever it was. So I made a couple guarantees on my days in YouTube, which you won't ever hear again. When I guaranteed we were at the top in 2021 and XRP was going to first come down to 52 cents, have a epic bear market rally, like the epic bull trap of all bull traps. And then we were going to come down to sub 40 cents and we would buy at sub 40 cents. I got laughed off the stage left. Well, you know when they stopped laughing? When the bull market ended and the first big drop went right to 52 cents on the nose. That was the best TA I ever did. I still do it now, but for whatever reason, I hit it to the penny. And there's people in here to this day that were there. That's not gloating. That's just, we understand. And sometimes you have to go outside of what everybody else says. So I have my own beliefs. If you think my technicals are good and you think that I understand what's going on in economics and the economy and what is actually real value based on my past history, we're in good shape based on what we're looking at. Carl, you remember I was in the live, right? And I think I just had my phone at the time. And I remember stopping mid-live and going, ah. And I dropped a couple F-bombs. And I'm like, it's over. I'm like, this is it's over. And I put down the price targets and said, when I talk about things flipping to zero, like, there's a lot of things. We even talked about VeChain flipping to zero, and we talked about DGB possibly flipping a couple zeros. We talked about XLM being down under 10 cents and XRP being down under 40 cents. And we talked about Algo being like at 10 cents and HBAR at 4 and 3 cents. And where we were at, like VeChain and some of these other ones, and saying they're like XDC is only going to be at like 2 cents, like talking about this, I thought I was crazy. You can go back to those videos. It was so awesome, the projection forward, but those never get credit. You know, making a projection out ahead by a year and a half of where the prices would end up, and sure as crap, they ended up down there, and sure as crap, because of what we said to listen to, we were able to turn 10 grand into 6 figures in that last run. It was an epic rally. You know, and then we moved a lot of it into the gold and silver mining stocks. And then we were able to run a rally there. So it's like we've been in the bear market. sold the top of the bull market in 21, bear market bottom. I mean, not the bottom, but when I started, we were up like almost 400%, and then we sold the right shoulder, which is the top. We bought the bottom in 23, sold the top in 25, and now we're targeting for a bottom with endless liquidity right now for this. This time I'm planning on putting over 30,000 into this market on this time around, not counting XRP. So, you know, that means I have $30,000 if everything goes right in liquidity, not counting XRP. And that's the plan. So, if it does it the way I want, and I know they got to get rid of retail, so I'm just sitting here. If I smoke stogies or cigars, I would be smoking a cigar. But I don't like to smoke nicotine. So, not because of the nicotine, but because of all the shit they put in it. So, you know, I think this time around could be the epic move. If we do this properly, for anybody who's been following since the beginning, I think it's going to be something unbelievable. And if you're having problems understanding the market psychology, if you're trying to understand the world of money, we had our first class yesterday. I'm not going to go into it. I'm just going to show you, for anybody, even if you're not there, how this will be set up in the future. It's only in certain categories. So in the live classes, we had our first class, hour and 16 minutes. Just for a point of reference, so you can see, it's actually through Zoom when I'm teaching this. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on. It's all within a classroom setting. So I went the extra mile with all of that. So if you're interested, and I think the first class was about a little bit of selfless publicity. The class one was the DNA of money and the great transitioning. And we have a part 2 coming up tomorrow. And it's just going to be an overall continuation. So if you're in the members only section in the class section and you want to partake in that, it was a fantastic first class. It was a lot of fun. And that'll be an ending, unlimited running database, because this is going to be a continuing thing until there's less than 5 people in the classes. And right now we have 37. So you're more than welcome to sign up. There's a link in the video description below and or pinned comments of this very video. Just a demonstration real quick, because people asked me how to do it yesterday. So I pinned it in here, and there's also up here. There's also for my Facebook page. If you're interested, you click on the Facebook tab. But for YouTube, you click on YouTube. I'm paying the $49.99 a month. Over here, you'll see an upgrade if you're just a main member. I want to thank you for tuning in. And you can upgrade to the live classes. And like when I did it, because I was already paying $9.99, there was like $6 and something cents still left on that month. So it prorated my month for the classes. So you know it's on the members only videos on your channel, right? It's on the live channel for the live classes. I don't think it shouldn't be in the other category. I can look right now. It should only be under live classes, because that's how I put it. Let me see. I can tell you right now, because somebody gifted Julia some. We're going to my channel. Oh, it did put it in there. I'll be damned. I'm glad you said that. I did not know it saved it like that. So I'm going to have to look at that when it saves. How interesting. YouTube's always something, isn't it? Okay, edit. Thank you for telling me that. Because it says live classes and higher. That's what it says it's saved under, so I'm not sure why it's showing for. Yeah, that doesn't even make sense, because it's saved under the live classes and higher. That's weird. That's actually weird. I'm not sure why that is, to be honest with you. I appreciate you tuning in. Unless I'm just seeing that because it's linked to my account on here. Because it says it's in the live class section. It doesn't say anything about being in the other one. Oh, no. Yeah, it shows it, but you can't watch it. Duh. Yeah, that's the point. It shows, yeah, that's fine. It shows it on YouTube, but when you click on it, you can't watch it. It tells you have to join. That's a way for it to give a little advertising to it. So you can't click on it. So yeah. It says that. So if you click on it, it won't let you watch it. It gives everyone a little preview that there's something more to do with the channel. Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you, Mrs. Stott, and thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor, and it was great having you in there last night. It was great. Oh, I have something to share, too, and it's kind of concerning. William Hayes, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor and being a very important part of the show. Gifting a sub to another member, Nilo. Welcome back into Tom's Army for your 3rd month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Gifted from William. That is super generous. So I need to share this in Cannabis Podcast. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, right here. Everybody's contacting, but that's somebody contacted about something, but it's something that my 12-year-old uses. So I was like interested in what they were talking about because she uses it for the bilingual learning for Italian. So anyhow, this is something that I thought was intriguing. So 2007, 2009, when gold had that big spike up, we had a housing market collapse. In 2019 to 21, we had the pandemic. Now with 2025, 2026, with an epic push up, we haven't had really anything yet. Nothing that was a showstopper. So what is this? Is this just the end of the dollar? This time this is just projecting the end of the US dollar? Is that what's happening? Or are we going into a global war? Like, what's going on here? Oh, we're not just in a bear market. We've been in a bear market since January of 25 when I called it. Yeah, we came up and topped in March or April. And some things like XRP put in a slightly bigger top, but that was confirming the bear market assessment. And now we've been in a bear market for quite some time. So now it's a matter of when do we come out of the bear market? Everybody's thinking we're in a bull market already going into a bear. It's not true. We're in a bear market going to a bull when it happens. It's a big difference, big distinction. Big distinction difference. And yesterday we talked about the fact where I thought V-Chain might come way up here now to 9.5. I know it's way up there to 9.5 after, it's under a penny, but I still see that move playing out. So we'll see what happens here. XDC's trying to confirm the move before the rest of them happen just by purely breaking out of this level up, coming through and consolidating and trying to push up. But this is where our market is right now, and it pushes up. So when you look at all of these that are set up a little bit, you come around here, consolidation. If we're XDC, this is coming up probably to here. It's probably, or up to here at least. So all of these are showing that similarities that XDC showed. Where it pushed up, consolidated, push out. So now this next test for XRP is going to be, in my opinion, at that $1.68, $1.69. That's where it seems like it's going. So, oh, Mr. Stott now in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor says he's one-upping the misses with his emoji upgrade. Excellent. A war in the household. Look at that. Welcome into both of you. It's such a blessing. I love it. The end of the Fed. Nah, the central banks aren't going anywhere, so it's not going to be the end of the Fed. I don't think that's... I think it's the end of the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency is probably what's happening. Was an awesome class, said Mrs. Stott. Oh, I appreciate that. Plant Good C says class is rock. Oh, I'm glad that we got that positive perspective this morning. Expect end of the month or first of next clarity pill. Oh, we don't want the clarity bill to pass. That is a nightmare. We talked about it yesterday a lot. That you're talking about an unregulated market that goes regulated. Actually, we got to dig into that just a tiny bit, just by virtue in the classes. But yeah, it's not what everybody thinks it's going to be, unfortunately. Bitcoin, I mean, it did. I have to give it credit because it came right down to that 74,500 area like we were prophesizing when it was up here to see if we could pull in the rebound. And now see how it did this? This is exactly what XDC did. It built this little layer and then it pushed out. And for Bitcoin, that should push us out to near 82K. If you're asking me, you know, you might not be asking me, but if we do break out, that's where we're pushing to. And I think Algo's trying to give us a little bit of a heads up. Algo consolidated here. Now it's pushed up. Do you think it's a coincidence, or do you think because we watch so much stuff, we might be able to kind of get a little bit ahead of some of this? I'll leave that up to your own interpretation because it's you and not me who has to make the decision for yourself. But what do you guys think? I'm not a financial advisor, but what do you think about what we're talking about today? Do you think this has a possibility of playing out? Like, do you think we have an opportunity to push up here? I'm just curious what everybody thinks. Like, if you're looking at this, do you think V-Chain can play out like I talked about? Do you think XDC can play out? Or, H-Bar can play out in a similar fashion? If you give me your own interpretation, it would be great, because then I can understand what we're all thinking. All that money flowing out of metals into crypto. You never know. Yes, look at Zill. Yep, Zill was another one. I noticed that it was breaking out a little bit. So that does give us a little confidence about what we're talking about as well. Still, and there is no volume, so this could be a volumeless push up. Absolutely. This could be a volumeless push up, and that would just validate that when we get to where we're going, that this could just break down, is all that this would really mean. Or if XRP gets to $1.64 here, or $1.67, that we run out of steam if we come back up. I'm just looking at a correlation between what XDC did and what the rest of the market looks like it's trying to do now. It looks like it's imitating. Ghost, stop. Ghost, what are you doing? Stop with the furniture. Sometimes she does that for no reason, and it's like, Ghost, you know better than that. You don't scratch the furniture like that. But that's the kitty. That's the kitty, all right. Good or bad, that's the kitty. And then we've got, let's see, XDC up 2.24%. And it cleared out again, and if it pushes up here a little bit, it could tell the rest of the market that, hey, we can, because I think XDC, if it does it properly, will come up to 4.24. So the other day when we talked, we said you're going to have some guts to play this market, obviously. You're going to have some cojones. But there's a possibility here that we get some really good pushing here. So yeah. I like opportunity. I like when opportunity starts to present itself. When the average masses are looking at it going, wait a minute, I'm not buying this. You'd be an idiot to buy this market. That's what I like to hear. I like when people are talking like that. I don't like any of this in the chart, Mr. Stott. Oh no. I just like the fact that I think we can push out, because I've been basing a lot of this too on the setup, what XDC was doing. So XDC rounded. When it came down to the first consolidation, it pushed out and then back down. Right now, the rest of the market's kind of in the, okay, we pushed down and out and back test. Now we should shoot out. And this would put it around 9.8, 9.9. I'm just hypothetically saying if this does. If this pushes out, it should push us somewhere between 9.1 to 9.5 if it overextends. For XRP, it should push us up to that $1.69 properly, or approximately. That's all. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. It's just, this is what can happen in this market. And it can happen. I believe this can happen very easily. But I'm also, you've heard what I said at the beginning too. We talked about the levels of concern if we can't get out of this bear flag, but I think that bear flag is set up just like that for a reason. I think we should try to push $1.69. That's the feeling that I have. We should push $1.69 unless we fall outside of this bear flag that we've talked about since the beginning of this live for a big reason. You know, because it's very important to discuss. Because if it were to not be able to, you know, maintain, then that's when you have a problem. If you break down below it, that's where your problem is. Right now, I think it was a nice liquidity trap this morning by dropping down. I think it might have shook out some loose feathers if this is going to make the push up. Are we not looking at the potential head and shoulders next to see right shoulder almost formed? Hourly paints it nicely. Well, that would be the bearish overtone when it gets up to the levels. Yeah, of course we're talking about it. That's a very big possibility. That's why I framed it with the bear flag and the other ones. If we can get over these, then we can do it. But if it breaks down, well, yeah. The hourly, though, you know, well, we'll see. And if it breaks down, that would just mean even if the rest of them do, it's got one little layer up and then they're done if it goes up. But if these bearish setups break down, so I started it out like that before giving the bullish scenario in the short term, because if XRP in particular breaks this pattern down, and it's a key signal for XRP, it's in this little bear flag. And right now, if bearish, you would think it would still come up here and try to retest this $1.64 at least to try to show us if we're overtly bearish. Right now, though, that was a nice little pushback in this candle. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I just have a gut feeling that we're going to try to break to the top side. Now, whether it happens or not, because we could get rejected at $1.64 even if we try. So that's what I'm paying attention to. But it's invalidated if we break down out of that bear flag that I showed set up. And I think it's down at $1. What is this right now? $1.50. If $1.57 breaks, this is invalidated of a possible breakout or even a retest of $1.64. You know, breakdown. If it breaks down and it invalidates this, we're going to $1.41. No reason to even second guess yourself. And that's the truth. Anybody? Yeah, I don't know. I don't like uphold, so I tell people to go as far away from there as you possibly can. Had issues some time ago on uphold, as some of you know. But yeah, I think we've done a really good rendition of what's going on in the market today. It's a very volatile, but if you're new, just look at that pattern for XRP. If you want this to break out, $1.90 or $1.85 has got to get on top of, and that could be a very small push at that. You might just come up to $1.77, and then they call it a day. Because we have no volume. That's the biggest thing here. There is no volume. So even if we push up to $1.64, what guarantee do we get to push out? Or if we do have a 5 or 6% move, what guarantee is it that it doesn't just roll over 15 right after? We're going to get a very big insight with what happens with XDC right now. If XDC can hold on to this because it tried to put in what looks like a little bit of a double bottom here, crossing the 20 over the 50 and the 2 hourly. You know, now we're just trying to see some confluency here, but there hasn't been any volume of sorts. Yes, could it be extending into something like this that extends out for maybe a double top even? You have like what could be a head and shoulders. It's a little sideways, but doesn't mean it's not there. So we need to make sure that that doesn't play down. So there's a lot of messes here, okay? There's a lot of minefields here. This isn't pretty. This is not a pretty scenario we're in. Quite the opposite of being pretty. This almost looks like the everyone thought you were crazy for selling. I just don't sell precious metals. Anybody considering short on ZIL? I don't know where ZIL's at this morning. I know it was doing pretty good. It had fallen off the cliff, so ZIL's up 22%, so got a nice little, it could be a head and shoulders forming. Shoulder, double top. But we have to see. But yeah, I was beaten up. But the rest of the market right now, this is the funny thing. We put in a boom, and then this kind of did this, and then it shot. So, I mean, the rest of the market's really only on this part of the hook. So, this could just be an anomaly for ZIL because it was so broken down. But that's what I expect, something like that out of VeChain as well. I expect VeChain to do something like that. I don't know if it's going to be at this level. But I do know VeChain's overdue for an exact kind of 25 or 30% blowback movement. But the way these are set up with these bearish flags, it's a problem. The BX or the DXY and Bitcoin dominance. So we have, let's go to Bitcoin dominance first, down 0.15%, rotating down a little bit. It's on the top side of this breakout area though. So it could technically, the Bitcoin dominance could come back down here to like 59.5%-ish and retest that area and try to break out. And if it does, that means Bitcoin, either Bitcoin's going up or the tokens are dropping a lot more. But we're on the outside of this, but that could just be an overextension here. Because if we take the wick higher up, obviously, we're still well within this bearish setup. Whoops. But yeah, we're overtly bearish right now. I've been saying this for a long time. We're very overtly bearish. And the trend is not our friend, so you always have to assume it's going to break down. It's just, where do we break down? And this is going to tell you a lot. Like, if you take wick in the uptrend, right now for Bitcoin dominance, if it breaks down below 59.7%, it's going to be a little bit of a dicey scenario, possibly. Now, I could make a different argument here and put it into the short term so you can kind of see maybe something that's trying to develop, but we really don't have a lot of evidence for it yet. We have to wait for this next tap on either side. What are some of the things? Like XRP still flat at $1.61 is the best I can say. Don't really have any kind of positive movement on anything, in fact. Like when I start looking at some of this, it's like, as much as we want to talk about maybe they break out, they look more like they could break down on us, if I'm being honest. This is a very dangerous spot right now. This is a very dangerous spot. I almost think this would be a spot to just observe. You sit here and you observe, and if it breaks down and it goes to those lower levels, you take advantage, I think. You know, if we get to where we want to go. But there's some confluency there talking about a head and shoulders. And, you know, like with XRP talking about, or with some of these talking about different breakdown patterns. There is some confluency here, like this morning. So my best thing to say, I don't think I would get too involved until you make sure that we're not going to break down out of these. I would let it do its work. Let it break out before you get deep into this. Make sure it doesn't break down in the bearish consolidation. That's my advice. Don't get caught in a trap to fund the exit liquidity like it seems like they always want to use us for. Does that make sense to everybody? I think it makes perfect sense. The last thing we want to do is become all this exit liquidity. So but there's harsh lessons that are always taught. You know, for somebody who makes a big gain, somebody else has to be wiped out. For somebody to be wiped out is to allow somebody else to make a massive gain. It's such a cruel world when you talk about trading. But unfortunately, it's the truth. And there's no in-between is the problem. There's really no in-between in this whole game. And the way the market's set up right now, I would be leaning more towards breaking down in the short term to $1.41 for XRP. Just because of the setup we're in alone. The setup alone tells us that this could be a problem. When a bear flag is set up, and then like we have been looking at XLM a lot. I mean XDC a lot for the agenda for which way is this market pushing. And what we're seeing right now is it's giving us a dead giveaway right now, unfortunately. It's telling us that, hey, we're setting up some bearish propositions here that you have to pay attention to. And we have to make sure that XDC is not in a head and shoulders pattern in the short term. It is up there. So we have to make sure that that's not going to happen. And because there's not a lot of volume coming in the markets, it makes it scary. It makes it scary. That's the thing when I always talk about volume predicts price. Without the proper volume, it's a scary proposition. And it becomes dangerous. So what's your guys' thoughts? Do you think that this is gonna that it's gonna break out? Do you think that this is gonna break down? I am very curious about what the audience honestly thinks. Like because I honestly want to know. I want to know. Like I really want to know. Because I don't want the worst thing. Because I'm watching all these charts, and when you look at these little flow books, they're fucking killing people right now. Like they are legitimately killing people in the market. I'm looking at it right now in real time. Like when you look at both sides, the leverage traders right now are getting slaughtered. No matter which way you look, because it's moving so volatile. There's only one way, but there's only really one direction it's gonna go for all of them, and it's not the right direction. I'm telling you, like. It's turning into something. It's turning into something. And like I know we can try to scream it until we're blue in the face about how it can get dangerous and how fast it can fall. Like when I say fall, now all of a sudden, because this is, if we get rejected here, and I'm not saying we have because the bear flag hasn't broke down by any means, but now all of a sudden you're talking about another 10 to 12% drop like that. Like literally, how many times do we have to get that before we're like, damn? Like I said, I'm going to have about $30,000 in this market, which means, you know, from what was there, outside of XRP, obviously, but from what was there, I'm considering, because of how much it's dropping and where I think it's going to go, I've given myself like a $5,000, just take that out and put it in, you know, for somewhere else and just stick to the 30. So anything over that, I'm just going to, and that's what I'm going to end up doing. Because I think as this Clarity Act gets passed, I'm going to have to probably take more and more money off the exchanges. I don't like where we're going in crypto. The bottom line is I don't like where we're going in crypto, as most of you know. I don't like the fact we're going from regulated to unregulated. That's what gave us the ability to have these unbelievable movements. Just unbelievable movements. It literally did. It gave us the ability to have outrageous movements. So, but it's such a weird thing for me. I think for anybody who started into this a long time ago, and now you have to start seeing, you know, just the proximity of, hey, this is more than just talk now. This whole Clarity Act thing is a nightmare. You know, this whole thing is more than just it's all more than a dog and pony show right now. So, I don't know, just watching even the order books, it's phenomenal how they're working out here. It's the ultimate trap central. Even if it were to break out, they've now incinerated most of the people that were even thinking about it. Anybody who stuck their nuts out there, they're literally, they're not very happy right now this morning. I can tell you that much. Tom, you have been super influential in at least my case to not get trapped entering all the wrong unconfirmed times. I thank you because I did before out. Oh, I appreciate that, Oliver. If there's one compliment that I'll take over and over and over, it's that kind of a compliment. That's my favorite. You are welcome, my friend. It's been my mission, as you know, to try to keep people away from those exact circumstances. So I'm blessed that I've been able to help you in that way. I really, 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 really am. I really am. And I'm going to continue to try to do it. Like today, I talked about if you want to enter XRP, at least just let it confirm. If you want to try to take a small shot out. But if you get in and this bear flag breaks down, then all of a sudden you're sitting there going, damn, I bought in and now it's at $1.41. You know, it ends up being it really does end up being a slippery slope once it starts to play out. But can I ask an honest question to anybody in my audience? Has anybody found themselves, because of what's coming, because of the uncertainty with all of the regulations and things, have anybody found themselves taking money out of their crypto portfolios? Not saying to not trade, but just making it smaller, maybe 20% smaller, maybe 10%, maybe 50%. Maybe some take it all out. So that you can go trade in an already regulated market where all of the opportunities to trade most of these tokens exist now in the stock market in a much safer way because of what's going on, because we have backing in the stock market. I'm honestly asking that question because I think that's starting to happen. Never, nope. Yep, yes. Mr. Stott, yep. Elmer, no. Never. Luke, nope. Josh, yep. Ruben, yep. Yep. Dennis, that's a great thing as well. That's a great thing as well. A lot of people are starting to lose. That's the other part of it. Like, you're getting a friction point where people are losing trust. So, you know, I don't necessarily think it's retail's fault. So, right now, I decided I'll keep $32,000 in there. Give myself a little bit of flexibility. Because I had 37 in my Kraken. So I took out 5 just to see what ends up happening here. And plus, I always like to test out the exchanges a little bit to see how much liquidity and how quick it goes. But just from the drop it's had, you know, I've been able to increase capital by doing basically just letting it sit. Like a hardware wallet isn't safe anymore. Yep. I agree with that. What did Mrs. Stott say? Big Dog, thanks for being in town 6+ months. Along with William. Oliver Marks over 1 year with Carl. I am down with all coins I'm done with all coins other than XXX high. I'm waiting for alt season so I can at least break even with the other coins. Oh, I like that. Because that's exactly, and the only other thing I would say if you're in the XXX high, because VeChain is getting so cheap, when we get to where we're going, because eventually we'll find our floor. I would pay attention to VeChain too, but because of what's happening, I just think sometimes, even if you end up putting it back on, sometimes taking away some of the liquidity, you know, and holding yourself more accountable and paying yourself a little bit. Like, that's what I just did today. I paid myself $5,000 basically out of the portfolio from things that I had built up. And now because we haven't been part of the market drop, it's just that I talked about this before. I don't like to short the market. I like to pay myself with funds that are already there. And I'll still have way more to spend than I would have before. It's just, I'll have more tokens. I'll just have less dollar value. But I'd rather have it in my pocket than in the exchange's pocket. All right, I'm going to end this, and then we're going to talk face-to-face. Comprende? If you want to come back, I'm going to do a vertical live, and we're going to talk about the trust in crypto, the trust in the core values, what the approach is going forward, and we're going to look at this outside of the chart so we don't have the emotion staring us right in the face. But we're going to do this properly. We nailed this live. We nailed the setup. We nailed where we think it can go, unless we get surprised and the bear flag breaks out with no volume. We should be going to $1.41 with XRP if it breaks down. And you'll know if it breaks down, if this flag breaks. That's if we lose $1.56, you know it's breaking down more than likely to $1.41. $1.53, and then ultimately $1.50 would have to cease to exist for that to be fully confirmed. But right now it doesn't look good. Looks like a big trap was set. And then when you look at metals, you know, they're doing okay today. Silver's up 12%, back up to 88.70. But now the problem is, are these building right shoulders? You know, is this just building a right arm? Shoulder, head. Remember I talked about the shoulder coming up to 93? That was the expectation if it pushed up. See if it builds out a shoulder. Looks like a head and shoulders possibly in the making. It's possible. So we'll see. That's what I'm looking at. A lot of the miners, same thing. First Majestic came down so much that it's trying to put in a shoulder, like topping reversal shoulder. This would be the rejection if it can't get up back over 23.66. So looks good because they're putting on gains, but they're still so far down from where they dropped. And they look like they're just putting in classic head and shoulders right now. So just be careful. The projection from B2 Gold coming down from there, first area was 439. And then if we get lucky, it comes back down into here and taps that area again, which is what I'm craving. But anyhow, hopefully I'll see all of you. And don't forget to give thanks to your Lord and Savior, Yahweh, Yahshua, Emmanuel.